This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
The Fedora Files.
Hello, I'm Gregory Fedora, and this is the Fedora Files. Welcome. I'm so glad you stopped by, either watching it on YouTube or checking it out audio-wise on one of the many ways you can listen to a podcast, which, Spotify, Amazon, however you listen. Even YouTube now has podcasts. So if you're listening to it on YouTube, cool on you. So anyway, this week I want to talk about a movie, The Blair Witch. Now, I'm kind of excited about this because a few months ago I was at the Snallygas Festival, and I was then invited to come to a celebration of the Blair Witch Project. And what's really interesting about this, and if you haven't heard this or know about this, they're doing a showing and kind of a festival thing in Burkittsville on August 12th of 2023. Hopefully it's the first annual and they're going to do more. But when the Blair Witch first came out, the people of Burkittsville were not happy about it because all these, as they would say, weirdos flocked to the area because they wanted to be where the Blair Witch was filmed. And so they came, and, the people of the town were kind of like, not happy about that at all. So, as time has gone, it seems that now there's a new Burgess who's their mayor, and he's embraced the Blair Witch legacy that is there, and is actually going to have the first ever showing of the Blair Witch in Burkittsville. And that's what I've been invited to. And I'm going to be there. I'm going to meet people. I'm going to talk with people. I'm going to sell some cool stuff, some books and some signs I've made and some magnets and some coasters. And even Chip Stetson is going to be there with his book, which is also now available. So, if you want to go check out our books, and then I'll get this out of the way. We got the Transcendental Tourist by Chip Stetson on Amazon. We got Happy Little Monsters Volume 1 and 2 also on Amazon by me. So you can check all that out. But I wanted to talk about the Blair Witch because it was a groundbreaking film back in the late 90s. It was actually it's what set off the wave of found footage films like Paranormal Activity, Cloverfield, and on people have done. And what was interesting is because it was so unique and so different, and the marketing for it was brilliant. They had a whole website. If you typed in Blair Witch on the internet, took you to this website, gave you this history of the Blair Witch. And it was fat. I remember typing up, and when I first saw this, I was like, is this real? Is this not real? What is the deal here? And it was so much so that I remember on MTV, the people who were in the film were outside a movie theater and doing interviews, and people were coming out so disgusted, like, how could you be profiting off of the death of these poor people who, are missing and gone? And it went on, and I've talked to some other people who remembered working at a theater, and the people coming out and so disgusted and upset and sad because they thought it was real. And it was just brilliant. It was brilliantly done. And then they went and did the sequels, which weren't nearly as good, and kind of, to me, messed up the mythos and the legacy. But not too much, because the original film is phenomenal. It's just perfection how they did it. And to me, it still holds up because it's just that cool feel. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have, because I know the truth now, it's been years, but it still holds up in that, if someone hasn't seen it, it's still terrifying. And yet you never, ever see what it is that is coming after them. But anyway, so the Blair Witch isn't even real. That's the other thing, because they did this great marketing of the Blair Witch in the website, and you go and you read this history about her and the curse and all this, and you're like, wow, this is insane, this is crazy. And then as I actually did more research, I was like, wait a minute, there wasn't even a Blair Witch or a woman in Burkittsville. Now, interestingly, it seems that they have taken, for the film, they took a bunch of different curses, stories, and blended them together. One would be the Bell Witch in Tennessee, and if you don't know that story, I might go into that sometime, but there's a whole cave you can go into. There's a family that was cursed. People died, and it was all wrapped up in this woman they called the Blair Witch, and on and on. So that was very similar. Now in Maryland, there actually was another woman called Mole Dyer, and now poor Mole, one, she had a horrible name. Two, she wasn't a witch. She was a healer. Now, what happened was this was in like the 1700s, thereabouts, and she was a healer. She helped people. And what happened was there was an influenza outbreak in the town. And because she was not able to slow it down or stop it, people thought, Mole's the reason we have it. It's her fault, and she is the reason we're all dying. She's a witch. So poor Mole was in, like, thought to be a witch. The townspeople, gathered up like, the people in Beauty and the Beast, and they went with pitchforks and torches, and they wanted to kill Mole Dyer. And so they burnt her cabin down. It was in the middle of winter. It was in February, and in Maryland, February is kind of one of the worst parts to be out in the winter, and it was just horrible. Well, she ran into the woods to get away from the mob, and a few days later, a boy came upon and found her body, and she was in a pose like on her knee. Her one hand was planted on a rock, her other hand was reaching up to the heavens, and that's how they found her, frozen to death in that position. That's the legend. In fact, they even have the rock, and it's in Maryland, and I think it's Ledbetter, Maryland, but it's over on the East Coast on the other side of D.C. If you know Maryland, it goes around D.C., and it's on the other side, closer to Ocean City area. But anyway, they have the rock that she was found at, and it's at a museum, and people say that you can see the imprint of her hand on the rock, and if you put your hand on it, you'll feel dizzy and sometimes faint. And I've never done it, and maybe it does. But Mole Dyer was one of the inspirations for the Blair Witch, as I believe also was the Bell Witch. But it's interesting that we have these stories of fear of these women or people, much like Michael Zittle, the Wizard of South Mountain. Like, there was a fear of these people because they were different and strange, and they would do things differently. Now, if you haven't seen the Blair Witch, I don't want to give anything away other than I guess I have, in that it's, obviously by now it's not real. But check it out. It's really a great film to just enjoy and get scared and eat your popcorn and be afraid. But if you're in the Maryland area and you can make it to Burkittsville on August 12th, please come out, come check out, and come say hi to Chip Stetson and I. Say howdy ho, and maybe pick up a book. We'll sign it for you. Pick up a magnet, whatever. But or just come say hi. We'd love to have you just come say hi and hang out with us, and chit chat. We're all about that. We love talking to people and hanging out. Maybe we'll just do an impromptu podcast right then and there at the Blair Witch place with you. Who knows? Talk to you about what your favorite monster or ghost is. So get out there, enjoy life. Check out the Blair Witch if you can. Check out, go on. I didn't hit all of the ghosts and witches that were in the inspiration for the Blair Witch, but go and Google Blair Witch and the inspirations, and there's a lot of cool folklore. And that's one of the things I love about the Blair Witch. It kept folklore alive. It even kind of created a new lore and folklore around Burkittsville. Whenever I go by there, I take a picture at the sign and send it to a friend of mine and say, hey, I still haven't found the Blair Witch. But it's just part of the coolness of the area. So again, come hang out with us. Go watch the Blair Witch. Just have a great time. Thank you for stopping by, listening, or watching. And remember to, as always, and I mean this, stay safe and keep searching. Bye-bye.
The Fedora Files. Check out fedoracrt.com today.